I sat in my lawyer's office reviewing the final separation agreement. He looked at me and said, "Daniel, you designed this resolution like a blueprint. It's flawless." He wasn't just talking about the asset split. He was talking about Christmas dinner. My wife, Vanessa, told me, "My ex is joining us for Christmas dinner. Be mature about it." I gave her the mature, measured nod she expected. What she didn't know was that I wasn't just planning the dinner menu. I was drafting the guest list for a controlled demolition. My name is Daniel, I'm 31, and I'm a structural architect in Seattle. I spent my life building things that are solid, functional, and honest. My marriage to Vanessa, which had lasted 5 years, was the one structure I failed to inspect properly. This year, Christmas was supposed to be hosted at our newly purchased Craftsman home, a home I had spent a year designing and renovating. It was supposed to be our statement of stability. Instead, 2 weeks before the holiday, the entire foundation began to crumble. We were in the living room, surrounded by blueprints for my next project. I was sketching, enjoying the quiet of a cold Saturday afternoon. Vanessa was on her phone, as usual. She didn't look up when she dropped the bomb. So, I invited Marcus to Christmas dinner. It's at our place this year, remember? I already told your parents he's coming. The graphite pencil I was holding snapped. The quiet of the room was suddenly loud with that tiny, sharp crack. "Marcus, your college ex-boyfriend, Marcus?" I asked, setting the pencil down with agonizing slowness. "The one you dated for 3 years who still leaves oddly cryptic comments on your Instagram posts." "Yes, that Marcus," she said, finally meeting my eyes with that practiced look of calm exasperation. "He's having a terrible time. I told you his father passed away last month and he doesn't have any family nearby. I thought it would be the empathetic thing to do. Be mature about this, Daniel." That line, "be mature about this," was the emotional equivalent of her telling me my structural calculations were wrong. It was condescending, dismissive, and an immediate challenge to my authority in my own marriage. "You invited him without consulting me about a family holiday in our home?" I stood up, crossing my arms. My architectural training makes me prioritize function and order. This was pure chaos, delivered unilaterally. "I talked to your mom first, and she was fine with an extra guest. What's the big deal? It's only weird if you make it weird. He's just a friend." The fact she went to my mother before me, the very woman who would be cleaning the extra plates and making small talk, was a tactical slight. I looked at the beautiful, solid room I'd built for us and realized the person I was supposed to trust most had no respect for my boundaries. "Fine," I said, conceding the battle but preparing for the war. "He can come, but you will not prioritize his feelings over our family's comfort." She gave me a tight, victorious smile and went back to her phone. I went to my home office. I didn't return to my blueprints, I went straight to my laptop. My instinct as an architect is to find the load-bearing walls and inspect them for damage. In this case, the load-bearing wall was the truth. I knew the move was wrong. It violated the unspoken trust we had. But the feeling that she was actively constructing a lie was overwhelming. I used a simple exploit I'd learned years ago to access the encrypted backup of her phone. What I found confirmed my darkest suspicions. They weren't just friends. They were engaged in a profound emotional affair. Over the last 3 months, their texts escalated from friendly checks to intimate daily communication. There were dozens of threads where she was criticizing me, my methodical nature, my focus on work, my desire for structure. Then there were the messages to him. "I can't believe how much I miss our old life. Vanessa, 5 weeks ago. Sometimes I wish we could just rewind 5 years. Things were so much simpler with you. Vanessa, 2 weeks ago." But the most damning message wasn't from her. It was from Marcus, dated just last week. "I know I shouldn't be here next week, especially since Clara is coming home for the holidays, but I need to see you." I froze. Clara, not his deceased father, but a woman. I immediately ran a quick public record search and found it. Marcus was not only alive and well, he was engaged to a woman named Clara, and they were planning a wedding for the summer. Vanessa had lied about every single detail. The rough time was a lie. The no family was a lie. The relationship was a lie. I took numerous screenshots, encrypting and sending them to a secure drive. My plan instantly shifted from passive acceptance to active surgical intervention. I found Clara's LinkedIn and a small private wedding planning social media account. I sent her a direct message from an anonymous account, keeping it strictly factual, like a code red warning. "Clara, this is going to sound crazy. I'm Daniel, Vanessa's husband. Marcus is her ex. She's invited him to our home for Christmas dinner, telling me he's lonely. I found evidence that he's telling you he's elsewhere. You deserve to know the full truth. Here is my secure email address if you want to talk privately." Clara responded within minutes. She was an attorney, sharp, quick, and furious. We moved to a secure, end-to-end encrypted chat. She confessed that Marcus told her he was attending a mandatory out-of-town work retreat over the holiday weekend. "He's destroying 2 families because he's too weak to choose," Clara typed. "He's supposed to be meeting my parents on Boxing Day." I had found my co-conspirator. I saw an opportunity not just for revenge, but for structural integrity. I was tearing down a rotten wall before it could collapse the house. "Clara," I proposed, "I'm tired of being lied to. I think we need to bring the load-bearing lie down on their heads. Would you like to be my surprise guest for Christmas dinner?" The next day, she confirmed, "I will be there. I'm bringing dessert and a steel spine." The following week was a masterclass in silent psychological warfare. Vanessa was bubbling with excitement, talking constantly about the extra appetizers and the special wine she was going to have Marcus try. I just nodded, smiling the practiced smile of a man who knows a terrible secret. I focused on making my home perfect for the holidays, setting a beautiful stage for the upcoming spectacle. Christmas Day arrived cold and bright. Our home was spotless. My parents arrived first, bearing gifts, and my sister Lauren and her 3 boisterous kids. Lauren, a history teacher, was immediately suspicious of the new guest. "An ex at Christmas? That's messy, Daniel," she whispered while folding napkins. "Did Mom put you up to this?" "I'm being mature," I said using Vanessa's phrase. "It's all very civil." Marcus arrived at 2:00 p.m. on the dot. He was carrying a small, expensive bottle of scotch and a practiced air of comfortable familiarity. Vanessa rushed to him, giving him a hug that lasted an uncomfortable, intimate 7 seconds. My mother smiled politely. My father, an engineer, appraised Marcus with a cautious, calculating stare. I shook Marcus's hand firmly, meeting his eyes. "Good to see you, man. Glad you could make it. You brought the scotch. I hope you're prepared to drink it." The 4 of us, Vanessa, Marcus, my parents, and I, settled into a small, tense conversation. Vanessa repeatedly laughed too loudly at Marcus's anecdotes, constantly finding excuses to brush his arm or lean in close. I watched every single gesture, logging the evidence in my mind. The stage was set. At 2:45 p.m. the doorbell chimed. It was the cue. "That must be the last guest," I announced, standing up. My smile was serene. I opened the door. There stood Clara, impeccably dressed in a tailored wool coat, holding an empty casserole dish she'd clearly just bought. She wasn't nervous. She was a predator on the hunt. "Daniel, thank you for inviting me," she said, her voice clear and strong. "Clara, welcome to our home," I replied, leading her directly into the living room. The reaction was cinematic. Vanessa, who was mid-sentence about a vacation she and I had taken, stopped breathing. Her hand was frozen mid-air, resting on Marcus's knee. Marcus tried to stand up, but his legs didn't cooperate. He just made a pathetic, strangled sound. "Clara?" "Hello, Marcus," Clara said, her eyes locked on Vanessa's hand on his knee. "I told Daniel I was looking forward to seeing the colleagues' Christmas party you mentioned." The room collapsed into silence. The kind of silence you can feel pressing down on your eardrums. My father paused his football game. My sister Lauren immediately raised her phone. "Daniel, what the hell is this?" Vanessa finally sputtered, yanking her hand away from Marcus. "This Vanessa is Clara," I said, gesturing like a game show host unveiling the grand prize. "Marcus's fiancée. I invited her when I realized Marcus was too busy spending Christmas with you to spend it with the woman he's supposed to marry. Clara, I don't believe Marcus mentioned to you that he and Vanessa have been missing what they used to have." "Mios." The air was thick with tension. Clara took a slow, deliberate step forward. "Marcus, I'd like to hear the explanation for the out-of-town work retreat," Clara demanded. Marcus, finally finding his legs, stammered, "Baby, it's not what you think. Vanessa was going through a very tough time. I was just being a friend." A tough time?" Vanessa immediately snapped, her loyalty to the lie instantly crumbling under pressure. "Marcus, what are you talking about? You're the one who called me saying you were lonely and needed a safe place to vent about your impending wedding." They had both been caught constructing separate, weak lies to cover the same dark secret. The lies shattered, leaving the emotional affair exposed. Clara turned to me. Daniel, I apologize for the intrusion on your family holiday, but thank you. Thank you for building the case. She looked back at Marcus, who was trying to look sorrowful but only looked guilty. Marcus, your key is under the mat at my place. Don't come in. I'll arrange for the rest of your belongings to be shipped to your parents. We are over. Marcus looked utterly defeated. He grabbed his scotch bottle and coat and stumbled out the door without a word. Vanessa looked around the room, her face a ghastly shade of white, finally realizing the audience for her humiliation. You invited her to shame me, she accused, her voice shaking. I invited her because she deserved the truth. I corrected her, keeping my voice steady and low. Just as I deserved the truth about the months of emotional cheating, the secret calls, and the blatant disrespect you have shown me in the home I built for us, I want a divorce, Vanessa. You can pack your bags and go to your sister's house tonight. My lawyer will be in touch tomorrow. My mother, bless her, broke the tension. Clara, dear, you're welcome to stay for dinner. We have plenty of turkey. Clara politely declined, thanked my mother, and left. The heavy door closed, leaving Vanessa standing alone in the center of the living room, surrounded by the remnants of the Christmas she had ruined. She finally just picked up her purse and walked out the door, defeated. Update 1, the aftermath 2 weeks later. The Christmas dinner was quiet but not entirely ruined. My family's immediate support was a lifeline. My father, the engineer, summed it up perfectly. Son, the foundation was rotten, and you brought it down with surgical precision. Best Christmas gift I've ever seen. My sister Lauren made sure the whole extended family knew the story, and the support was unanimous. The divorce process began immediately. As an architect, I had documented every financial contribution to the house, every major purchase, and every renovation cost. With the screenshots of Vanessa's emotional affair, proof of her deception and lack of respect, my lawyer had a strong case. Vanessa was too embarrassed to fight it and didn't want the texts exposed in court. We agreed on a quick, uncontested settlement. I spent the next 2 weeks cleaning the house of her presence. It was a cleansing ritual. I was not just separating assets, I was restoring the structural integrity of my life. Update 2, looking ahead, 3 months later. It's been 3 months since the Christmas ambush. The apartment is sold and I've moved into a temporary loft downtown. It's empty, clean, and entirely mine. And Vanessa sent me a final, remorseful email. She didn't deny the emotional affair, but she apologized for making me feel insecure and claimed she was only looking for a friend. I still haven't replied. I realized that her fundamental disrespect for me was the real problem, not just the ex. Clara and I have coffee once a month. It's purely platonic. 2 architects comparing demolition notes. She's doing brilliantly, starting her own firm, and has completely cut Marcus out of her life. She said the ambush saved her a lifetime of misery and thanked me for not staying quiet. Marcus apparently moved back with his parents. He and Vanessa briefly tried to start a relationship, but it imploded quickly because they had bonded over their shared deceit, not genuine affection. They couldn't trust each other, and they were too busy blaming me for exposing them to build anything real. As for me, I'm building a new life. I'm focusing on new projects, new clients, and new designs that are solid, honest, and built on a foundation of self-respect. I may have lost a home and a wife, but I gained something infinitely more valuable, the knowledge that I refuse to live a lie. And yes, my mother has already confirmed, for all future holiday gatherings, she is now the official and final arbiter of the guest list, and she's still telling everyone, "My son won Christmas."